1895, Selden was granted a United States patent, U.S. Patent 549,160, for a two-stroke car engine, which hindered more than encouraged development of cars in the United States. His patent was challenged by Henry Ford and others, and overturned in 1911. In 1893, the first running, gasoline-powered American car was built and road tested by the Duryea brothers of Springfield, Massachusetts. The first public run of the Duryea motor wagon took place on the 21st of September 1893 on Taylor Street in Metro Center, Springfield. 33. The Studebaker Automobile Company, subsidiary of a long-established wagon and coach manufacturer, started to build cars in 1897. 34. 66p and commenced sales of electric vehicles in 1902 and gasoline vehicles in 1904. 35. In Britain, there had been several attempts to build steam cars with varying degrees of success, with Thomas Rickett even attempting a production run in 1860. 36. Sandler from Malvern is recognized by the Veteran Car Club of Great Britain as having made the first gasoline-powered car in the country in 1894. 37. Followed by Frederick William Lanchester in 1895. But these were both one-offs. 37. The first production vehicles in Great Britain came from the Daimler Company, a company founded by Harry J. Lawson in 1896. After purchasing the right to use the name of the engines. Lawson's company made its first car in 1897, and they bore the name Daimler. 37. In 1892, German engineer Rudolf Diesel was granted a patent for a new rational combustion engine. In 1897, he built the first diesel engine. 1. Steam, electric, and gasoline-powered vehicles competed for decades, with gasoline internal combustion engines achieving dominance in the 1910s. Although various pistonless rotary engine designs have attempted to compete with the conventional piston and crankshaft sign, only Mazda's version of the Wankel engine has had more than very limited success. All in all, it is estimated that over 100,000 patents created the modern automobile and motorcycle. 38. Mass production. Ransom E. Olds founded Olds Motor Vehicle Company, Oldsmobile. In 1897 Henry Ford founded Ford Motor Company. In 1903-1927 Ford Model T. Kiichiro Toyoda, President of Toyota Motor Corporation. 1941-1950 Mass production at a Toyota plant in 1950s. Large scale production line manufacturing of affordable cars was started by Ransom Olds in 1901 at his Oldsmobile factory in Lansing, Michigan, and based upon stationary assembly line techniques pioneered by Marquis Zambard Brunel at the Portsmouth Block Mills, England, in 1802. The assembly line style of mass production and interchangeable parts had been pioneered in the U.S. by Thomas Blanchard in 1821, at the Springfield Armory in Springfield, Massachusetts. 39. This concept was greatly expanded by Henry Ford, beginning in 1913 with the world's first move-in assembly line for cars at the Highland Park Ford plant. As a result, Ford's cars came off the line in 15-minute intervals, much faster than previous methods, increasing productivity eightfold, while using less manpower, from 12.5 man-hours to 1 hour 33 minutes. 40. It was so successful, paint became a bottleneck. Only Japan black would dry fast enough, forcing the company to drop the variety of colors available before 1913, until fast-drying Duco lacquer was developed in 1926. This is the source of Ford's apocryphal remark, "Any color as long as it's black." 40. In 1914, an assembly line worker could buy a Model T with 4 months' pay. 44. Ford's complex safety procedures, especially assigning each worker to a specific location instead of following them to roam about, dramatically reduced the rate of injury. 41. The combination of high wages and high efficiency is called Fordism and was copied by most major industries. The efficiency gains from the assembly line also coincided with the economic rise of United States. The assembly line forced workers to work at a certain pace with very repetitive motions, which led to more output per worker, while other countries were using less productive methods. The Toyota Corolla is the best-selling car of all time in the automotive industry. Its success was dominating and quickly spread worldwide, seeing the founding of Ford France and Ford Britain in 1911, Ford Denmark 1923, Ford Germany 1925. In 1921, Citroën was the first native European manufacturer to adopt a production method. Soon, companies had to have assembly lines, or risk going broke. By 1930, 250 companies which did not had disappeared. 40. Development of automotive technology was rapid, due in part to hundreds of small manufacturers competing to gain the world's attention. Key developments included electric ignition and the electric self-starter, both by Charles Kettering, for the Cadillac Motor Company in 1910-1911, independent suspension, and four-wheel brakes. Since the 1920s, nearly all cars have been mass-produced to meet market needs, so marketing plans often have heavily influenced car design. It was Alfred P. Sloan who established the idea of different makes of cars produced by one company, called the General Motors Companion Make Program, so that buyers could move up as their fortunes improved. Reflecting the rapid pace of change, makes shared parts with one another, so larger production volume resulted in lower costs for each price range. For example, in the 1930s, LaSalle's, sold by Cadillac, used Kierper mechanical parts made by Oldsmobile. In the 1950s, Chevrolet shared hood, doors, roof, and windows with Pontiac. By the 1990s, corporate powertrains and shared platforms, with interchangeable brakes, suspension, and other parts, were common. Even so, only major makers could afford high costs, and even companies with decades of production, such as Apperson, Cole, Doris, Haynes, or Premier, could not manage. Of some 200 American car makers in existence in 1920, only 43 survived in 1930, and with the Great Depression, by 1940, only 17 of those were left. 40. In Europe, much the same would happen. Morris set up its production line at Cowley in 1924, and soon outsold Ford, while beginning in 1923 to follow Ford's practice of vertical integration, buying Hotchkiss engines, Wrigley gearboxes, and Osburton radiators, for instance, as well as competitors, such as Wolseley. In 1925, Morris had 41% of total British car production. Most British small car assemblers, from Abbey to Xtra, had gone under. Citroën did the same in France, coming to cars in 1919. Between them and the cheap cars in reply, such as Renault's 10CV and Peugeot's 5CV, they produced 550,000 cars in 1925, and Mors, Hertu, and others could not compete. 40. Germany's first mass-manufactured car, the Opel 4PS Laubfrost, Tree Frog, came off the line at Russell Sheen in 1924, soon making Opel the top car builder in Germany, with 37.5% of the market. 40. In Japan, car production was very limited before World War II. Only a handful of companies were reproducing vehicles in limited numbers, and these were small, three-wheeled for commercial uses, like Daihatsu, or were the result of partnering with European companies, like Isuzu building the Wolseley 9 in 1922. Mitsubishi was also partnered with Fiat and built the Mitsubishi Modular based on a Fiat vehicle. Toyota, Nissan, Suzuki, Mazda, and Honda began as companies producing non-automotive products before the war, switching to car production during the 1950s. Keiichiro Toyoda's decision to take Toyota Loom Works into automobile manufacturing would create what would eventually become Toyota Motor Corporation, the largest automobile manufacturer in the world. Subaru, meanwhile, was formed from a conglomerate of 6 companies who banded together as Fuji Heavy Industries, as a result of having been broken up under Keiretsu legislation. Fuel and propulsion technologies. The transport sector is a major contributor to air pollution, noise pollution and climate change. 43. 2011 Nissan Leaf electric car low battery and motors can improve safety. 42. Most cars in use in the early 2020s run on gasoline burnt in an internal combustion engine, ICE. The International Organization of Motor Vehicle Manufacturers says that, in countries that mandate low-sulfur gasoline-fueled cars built to late 2010 standards, such as Euro 6, emit very little local air pollution. 44, 45. Some cities ban older gasoline-fueled cars and some countries plan to ban sales in future. However, some environmental groups say this phase-out of fossil fuel vehicles must be brought forward to limit climate change. Production of gasoline-fueled cars peaked in 2017. 46, 47. Other hydrocarbon fossil fuels also burned by deflagration, rather than detonation, in ICE cars include diesel, autogas and CNG. Removal of fossil fuel subsidies. 48, 49. Concerns about oil dependence, tightening environmental laws and restrictions on greenhouse gas emissions are propelling work on alternative power systems for cars. This includes hybrid vehicles, plug-in electric vehicles and hydrogen vehicles. Out of all cars sold in 2020, 4.6% were plug-in electric, and by the end of that year there were more than 10 million plug-in electric cars on the world's roads. 50. Despite rapid growth, only about 1% of cars on the world's roads were fully electric and plug-in hybrid cars by the end of 2020. 50. Cars for racing or speed records have sometimes employed jet or rocket engines, but these are impractical for common use. Oil consumption has increased rapidly in the 20th and 21st centuries because there are more cars. The 1985-2003 oil glut even fueled the sales of low-economy vehicles in OECD countries. The BRIC countries are adding to this consumption. User interface. In the Ford Model T, the left side hand lever sets the rear wheel parking brakes and puts the transmission in neutral. The lever to the right controls the throttle. The lever on the left of the steering column is for ignition timing. The left foot pedal changes the two forwards while the center pedal controls reverse. The right pedal is the brake. Cars are equipped with controls used for driving, passenger comfort, and safety, normally operated by a combination of the use of feet and hands, and occasionally by voice on 21st century cars. These controls include a steering wheel, pedals for operating the brakes and controlling the car's speed, and, in a manual transmission car, a clutch pedal, a shift lever or stick for changing gears, and a number of buttons and dials for turning on lights, ventilation, and other functions. Modern cars' controls are now standardized, such as the location for the accelerator and brake, but this was not always the case. Controls are evolving in response to new technologies, for example, the electric car and the integration of mobile communications. Some of the original controls are no longer required. For example, all cars once had controls for the choke valve, clutch, ignition timing, and a crank instead of an electric starter. However, new controls have also been added to vehicles, making them more complex. These include air conditioning, navigation systems, and in-car entertainment. Another trend is the replacement of physical knobs and switches by secondary controls with touchscreen. Controls such as BMW's iDrive and Ford's MyFord Touch. Another change is that while early cars' pedals were physically linked to the brake mechanism and throttle, in the early 2020s, cars have increasingly replaced these physical linkages with electronic controls. Electronics and interior. Panel for fuses and circuit breakers. Cars are typically equipped with interior lighting which can be toggled manually or be set to light up automatically with doors open. An entertainment system which originated from car radios. Sideways windows which can be lowered or raised electrically, manually on earlier cars, and one or multiple auxiliary power outlets for supplying portable appliances such as mobile phones, portable fridges, power inverters, and electrical air pumps from the onboard electrical system. 51, 52a. More costly upper-class and luxury cars are equipped with features earlier such as massage seats, sound collision avoidance systems. 53, 54. Dedicated automotive fuses and circuit breakers prevent damage from electrical overload. Lighting. Audi A4 daytime running lights. Cars are typically fitted with multiple types of lights. These include e-headlights, which are used to illuminate the way ahead and make the car visible to other users, so that the vehicle can be used at night. In some jurisdictions, daytime running lights, red brake lights to indicate when the brakes are applied, amber turn signal lights to indicate the turn intentions of the driver, white-colored reverser lights to illuminate the area behind the car, and indicate that the driver will be or is reversing, and on some vehicles, additional lights, for example, side marker lights, to increase the visibility of the car. Interior lights on the ceiling of the car are usually fitted for the driver and passengers. Some vehicles also have a trunk light and more rarely, an engine compartment light. Weight. The Smart Fortwo car from 1998 to 2002, weighing 730 kilograms, 1,610 pounds. During the late 20th and early 21st century, cars increased in weight due to batteries. 56. Modern steel safety cages, anti-lock brakes, airbags, and more powerful if more efficient engines. 57. And as of 2019, typically weigh between 1 and 3 tons. 58. Heavier cars are safer for the driver from a crash perspective, but more dangerous for other vehicles and road users. 57. The weight of a car influences fuel consumption and performance, with more weight resulting in increased fuel consumption and decreased performance. The Smart Fortwo, a small city car, weighs 795 kilograms, 1,755 pound. Heavier cars include full-size cars, SUVs, and extended-length SUVs like the Suburban. A Chevrolet Suburban extended-length SUV weighs 3,300 kg, 7,200 pound. Gross weight. 55. Some places tax heavier cars more, as well as improving pedestrians. After this can encourage manufacturers to use materials such as recycled aluminum instead of steel. 59. In some competitions such as the Shell Eco Marathon, average car weights of 45 kilograms, 99 pound, have also been achieved. 60. These cars are only single-seaters, still falling within the definition of a car, although four-seater cars are more common, but they nevertheless demonstrate the amount by which car weights could still be reduced, and the subsequent lower fuel use, i.e. up to a fuel use of 2,560 km forward/L. 61. Seating and body style. Most cars are designed to carry multiple occupants, often with 4 or 5 seats. Cars with 5 seats typically seat 2 passengers in the front and 3 in the rear. Full-size cars and large sport utility vehicles can often carry 6, 7, or more occupants depending on the arrangement of the seats. On the other hand, sports cars are most often designed with only 2 seats. The differing needs for passenger capacity and their